Like me, many of you woke up this morning to see Shabana Mahmood's interview, and it's taken me a couple of hours to process and regulate. But now I'm ready to dissect it. So, you know what you need to do. Grab your chai and let's have a chat. Let me give a little bit of context to those of you that don't know what I'm talking about. So, this morning's interview was in response to last night's protests. Now, those protests occurred because of the kidnapping of up to 500 human rights activists, including dozens of British people, including friends of mine. Now, she was discussing the fact that these protests took place and 40 activists were brutally, may I add, arrested by the British police. One of the first points I want to discuss is the fact that Shabana is disappointed in us. Yes, Shabana, we're disappointed in you, but we'll get to that in a little while. She believes that the behavior is fundamentally un British and dishonorable, and that protesters should have taken a step back. Number one, Shabana, I need to remind you that the right to protest is, in fact, fundamentally British. It is part of our core values. And that does not make us dishonorable, it makes us patriots. So let me go further. She then goes on to say the issues driving these protests have been going on for a long time or for some time. Yes, Shabana, we're fully aware, 2 years. And she says it doesn't look like they're going to come to an end anytime soon. Shabana, Shabana, Shabana. There's us thinking that because the Labour government has now recognised Palestine as a state, that we were working towards ending this. Weren't you guys talking about, we needed a ceasefire? So you saying that it's going to go on for a long time, that's very telling, isn't it, Shabana? Very, very telling. I'm going to cover, I found extremely triggering, and I had to pause the video and come back to it later. Now, I'm sure you all found this bit as triggering as I did, so I apologize in advance that I have to go over it again, but it's part of dissecting this video. Now, she said we could have stepped back to give the community time to grieve, that we should have shown some humanity, some solidarity, because it was the most religious day in the Jewish calendar. It was Yom Kippur. Now, Shabana, do I need to remind you that every single Eid for the last 2 years, so that's 4 Eids, and Eid is the holiest day in the Muslim calendar, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of Palestinians have been murdered. Hundreds upon hundreds have been injured. Palestinians were starving during Ramadan, a time when they're supposed to be fasting. They had nothing to eat for iftar or for suhoor. I mean, Shabana, if you fasted, what did you get to eat? What did you do on Eid Day? I'm sure you were celebrating with your family while Palestinians were being slaughtered. And during that whole time, and during the whole 2 years of this genocide, I have not seen any humanity or solidarity from the Labour government or the Conservative government or the Reform Party, of any of these political parties. The only party where I've seen any kind of remorse so far is your party and the Green Party, but I'll get to that in another video because Zach has a clapback, and I do want to cover that, Shabana. So let's talk about humanity and solidarity. You, as a practicing Muslim, in your words, adhere to Eid and Ramadan, but yet you are completely, utterly, utterly silent when these atrocities occurred. And you didn't ask the blue and whiters, you didn't ask the Israelis, you didn't ask any of them to show some compassion towards Muslims. Did you? No, Shabana, no, you didn't. She then has the audacity to further go on and say to anyone going on a protest, imagine that was you. Sorry, that you had a family member that was killed. Shabana, we don't have to imagine this. All the Palestinians in the diaspora are watching their family members getting killed. For us who are not Palestinian, we are also watching them get killed. We also have friends in Palestine. We have families that we support in Palestine. So we do imagine this when we go to our protests. We do imagine this in every waking moment of our lives. And in fact, Shabana, this is what actually motivates us to go on the street. That's what makes us have no fear about the repercussions of losing our jobs, of getting arrested, of being demonized by coconuts such as yourself. And may I add, a brown woman calling another brown woman a coconut is proved to be satire in a British court of law. So come for me all you want, but that was illegal. She is a coconut, a chamcha. She clearly has not even imagined for one singular moment what it feels like to lose a family member in a genocide. For one single moment, as a Muslim, she has not thought about her ummah, because if she had, she would not be touting any of this. Now, before I go on to talk about her comments in regards to the police, Met Police, you cannot come for me. I am criticizing and critiquing a public figure, a politician. This is my viewpoint. And also, as a Muslim, I am expressing my disgust and horror that a fellow Muslim would utter these words. Perfectly, utterly legal. Anyway, let's continue. She then goes on to say that the police have been given all the resources that they need to police these protests. We've clearly seen that, Shabana. You will send hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of police officers to arrest pensioners with signs, but yet we have phone theft, rape, domestic violence, gang violence rampant on our streets. And your government is doing absolutely nothing about that. We saw so many police officers on the streets last night brutally arresting activists, and I will go on to talk about that. Those resources need to be used somewhere else. And Shabana, we also have seen the BBC documentary talking about Charing Cross and proving that they are racist. We've also had the Bard inquiry that talked about the Greater Manchester Police. We've also had the Casey report, again talking about racism, Islamophobia, misogyny, and homophobia. So let's spend some money on the resources that you should need, and that is re-educating your officers and getting rid of all the bigots in your police force, not over manning and excessive force on peaceful activists who are out on the streets, because dozens and dozens of British citizens have been kidnapped. The resistance, she ends with it saying, just because you have a freedom doesn't mean you have to use it. Yes, Shabana, we do. And I am also exercising my freedom of speech to say this is bollocks. Absolute codswallop. This is reminiscent of when we had a Tory government and we thought we would do better with a Labour government, and it just went worse. We thought Yvette Cooper was a monster. Now we have Shabana. Like, are you kidding me? And on behalf of all brown women out there, I apologize for bringing you another one of these. We had Suella Braverman, we had Priti Patel, and now we have Shabana Mahmood. And I promise you that I will work harder as a brown South Asian woman to counteract the narrative of these coconuts we keep ending up with. Anyway, watch this space. There'll be plenty of content coming today.